Toast. Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live on a Friday, September 10th at 11:41 a.m. and we got RAM today. Got my new machine, this little Mac Mini with 64 gigs, and it's plowing through so much more than what I was doing before. Everything just works. We live in a 64 gigabyte world, ladies and gentlemen. 32 doesn't cut it. No, but 42 is an off number. And 64 is okay. This should last a couple of years, which is nice. It's a Mac Mini. It was a relatively moderately priced machine, so I'm overwhelmingly satisfied. Anyway, I'm starting the stream with that. Got me excited today. Took like 12 hours to transfer my data. What a pain in the neck. But bandwidth has notably better with more RAM. Looks like the computer was sluggish, the page file, whatever was the cause. Things overall, all performance has improved. Smiling and happy. All right, so stable coins, and that plays into the regulatory climate and macro conditions. Whole lot of stuff going on with the what was announced or made its rounds on social media with Fed market actors or Fed officials acting in the market, and it's ridiculous. The whole system is so opaque. It's not transparent. So no one knows exactly what everyone's doing. There's manipulation everywhere. And all we can do is operate from the outside in. You could be conspiratorial and say it's a rigged system. Is the market going to collapse? Let's take a look at ES. Let's take a look at the charts. We'll see what's going on, and we'll talk macro as we're doing it. And obviously, I mentioned frax and mem. Frax was just approved on Aave. And mem is ready to pick up serious steam as it's an alt stablecoin. I think stablecoins are primed for market disruption. I think there's too much regulatory climate hanging over USDC, USDT, and DAI. DAI being predominantly collateralized by USDC amongst it's just this historical place in the market. And I think the decentralized or um, uh, censorship resistant stablecoins have a nice ring to them, especially considering the climate of regulation that's permeating the crypto space. Let's pop it over to the main screen and we'll get the charts. Today's episode is sponsored by Change Angel, the non-custodial swap exchange for social good. Stop depositing on exchanges, not your keys, not your crypto, non-custodial DeFi, or nothing at all. Bam! Let's pop it over to the main screen and see who's in the stream. Winter and Training's in the house. Kill us. Always a pleasure. Wave Mappers, my dude. No, a happy Friday. It's a good day. Jeffrey, 64 gigs. Yeah, I'm set. This machine is firing on all cylinders, and it was a cheap machine. I think I paid like $2,200 for my uh, MacBook Pro about 2 years ago, and this Mac Mini was like $2,400, and it's about the same price. It's just significantly superior in performance. 2 years, and the tag. And this is a 2018 Mac Mini. The 2020 Mac Mini does not offer the RAM that I need. Anyway, I'm not going to go into my deductive process for how I chose my equipment, but I didn't need something like I didn't need an i9. This i7 has 6 cores, and the i7 that I had on my MacBook Pro had 2 cores. It's a significant improvement in processor speed and a quadrupling of the RAM. It met my necessity from a hardware specification perspective. Anyway. I have the future in the house. A pleasure. Wave, care to talk about how Convex owns the vast majority of Curve voting and the ability to do whatever it wants with the gauge weight. Yeah, and it's applying that gauge weight to the CRV, CVX, CRV Curve factory pool, which is going to juice incentivize yields on that pool to 500 to 1,000% next week. which is going to drive a huge amount of CVX CRV to liquidate into CRV, but it's also going to drive a huge amount of buy pressure on Curve to capitalize on that ridiculous incentivized return. As and it's just a flywheel. As CVX CRV appreciates, the yields on CVX CRV appreciate or increase, and as CRV increases, the yields on CVX CRV increase, and as the yields on CVX CRV increase, that drives buy pressure on CRV to be locked as CVX CRV, or CRV to be swapped as CVX CRV to be exposed to the yield. So it's just it's a self-perpetuating feedback loop of appreciation driving yield increase, and yield increase driving buy pressure, which is appreciation. Absolutely fantastic. I'm the future. No, what do you think would happen to stables such as frax and MIM in case USDC, USDT get highly regulated and lose peg? There's nothing wrong with a stablecoin losing peg. What happens is it becomes a volatile asset, just like every other asset you're exposed to. Period. Um, and what happens is, as the collateral gets shifted around and the peg gets restored, um, it appreciates in price back to peg. And the whole point of these systems, MIM as well as Frax, is to reattain peg and to have algorithms in place that facilitate the reattainment of the dollar peg. That's the whole point of the protocol. So I find it fascinating as Frax is shifting around its entire implementation to get away from USDC collateral to that backs it, and MIM is just Abracadabra is just expanding significantly and taking on very diverse array of collateral sources. So it's getting further and further away from dependence on the prevailing stablecoins as backing collateral. I find it quite tantalizing to think of the potential for new stablecoins that are not the old names of DAI, USDC, and USDT. And now you're exposing yourself to stablecoins that are just outside the scope of the historic stablecoin complexity and regulatory climate. Um, these are censorship resistant platforms. USDC, USDT, and DAI are very much, more so USDC and USDT, are very attackable. USD DAI a little bit less, but Frax and MIM are very censorship resistant, especially as compared to the mentioned historic stablecoins. Very, very meaningful considering the whole climate here in the U.S. I get this. It's all defensive. Everything that they're doing is defensive. They're not helping these protocols navigate what is desired from a regulatory standpoint. The point of the regulators is to protect investors, so they're literally sending mixed messages all over the place. They're not protecting investors if they're going to impart fear on these markets. So that's the one person that really speaks properly about how to handle these types of conversations and handle social media is Hester Pierce. She does a wonderful job at saying, yeah, this is the future. Let's figure out how to write documentation and the rules so that it's good for everyone, not induce fear in the market. She does not induce fear in the markets. If anything, Hester is a positive force in the crypto space, and that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So I think we're at a crossroads, and we have volatility because half the time these government actors induce fear in the crypto space, and the fear is not just from a direct regulation, but it's also from the legacy financial system, where the Fed's taper talk and tapering their bond purchases and their scare of rate hikes is ready to crush equity markets, and that has carryover effects to the crypto space. I see these as mutually exclusive markets in countless regards, but obviously, if the legacy system takes a big fat shit, crypto's going to as well. But they're in a big pickle. They're in a big pickle, boys and girls, and all the macro uh, analysts spokespersons agree. The economy's slowing. So if they take their foot off the pedal, it's just going to slow faster. That's going to roll GDP over. And tax receipts, as Luke Groman talks about, just got back to where it pays the bills after all this time and all this consumer price inflation. Just got back to the point of covering the bills and interest payments on the debt. So if they take the foot off the gas pedal, or even they can't talk about raising rates. That'll just collapse GDP, given the entire climate of where the equity markets are. Um, they're not. They're gonna hurt their tax receipts, which means they won't be able to pay the bills. And that's crazy. So they're literally in a catch-22. I think Jerome understands that, as these other Fed officers talk, yeah, we got to taper because consumer prices are going through the roof. But if you taper or dare talk about raising rates, GDP is going to fall off a cliff. Because it induces fear. And if people are fearful, they're spending less. And if people are spending less, GDP tanks. Very simple equation. Lisa's in the house. A pleasure from Germany. Joining but 2 years old Theo, who is watching intently. Oh, my older daughter, my 6-year-old, likes to watch, which is cool. I'll get her into this stuff when her mind is ready. JJ's in the house. James, aye aye. Yeah. Wave, love it. I feel crazy when I say these things out loud. A lot of the things we say out loud feel crazy, but we speak the truth, don't we? Alex, any SA 50% APY for beginners? Oh, any easy 50% APY for beginners? I want to adopt the boomer approach to crypto. Yeah, stable coins on Curve, and you deploy those over on Convex. There, just I'd pop it in a mempool. I mean, look, no, that's a Euro T. Mempool, you get them for 36%, but a lot of spell. So a lot of your yield is incentivized returns. If you want stable coin yield, like pure, well, there's no real pure stable coin yield that'll give you that much. A lot of it'll be incentivized returns, but frax is a big deal because you could do frax USDC on Uniswap, which is cranking out 22%. And if you have a decent, it's not. I'm tempted to get more complicated with what I do because I have an FXS position which juices it up to 60% return on stable coins. I've got about 60 something percent on about 47 grand, give or take. That's my current play here, just juicing my FXS position. So there's no overwhelmingly easy way because your yield is a big part, if not mostly, incentivized yield, which is denominated in a volatile asset. In this instance, it's FXS, which is volatile. But we're all bullish on FXS, aren't we? I mean, Frax was just approved on Aave, which is going to drive demand for Frax, which is going to further put get the gears working on the Frax implementation for their stablecoin. I'm very bullish on getting away from DAI, USDC, and USDT, and Frax is designed to do just that, and so is MEM. You guys know the story. So there's no easy way, but the places I would look for stablecoin yield is Frax as well as Convex. So that's where you make your choices about what kind of exposure you want with regard to varying assets. There's non-stablecoin assets in here. This is a relatively risk minimized position as well as the Aave position. This has, I believe, SUSD. So 23%. And you get your breakdown, you're getting, what's the base? Again, 2.63% base. So you're literally getting 2.63% on your dollars. Take that to the bank. You're getting 3.37% in curve emissions, 5.96% in CVX emissions, and a little bit of boost from Aave at 0.53%. We go up here to MEM. You get in 0.82 on the base, which is dollar denominated, just compounded appreciation. Curve emissions at 13%, CVX at 22, and an additional 9.21 denominated in spell. And you guys know the spell deal. Spell is the abracadabra productive asset, which has significant potential. Do you guys know what's going on with spell? Spell is a $50 million market cap asset, and that's the asset that facilitates MIM, minting, or that's the asset that receives um, that responds positively and appreciates when MIM demand increases. So it's volatile. Look at that, 13% today. Um, That's a heck of a volatile chart. But this is one of my favorite assets as with regard to productive assets. Um, my most interesting positions. What do you think my most interesting positions are? It's curve at the top, and my most interesting positions are the most productive assets that I think are in the entire crypto space. Well, actually, Cosmos doesn't really fit that narrative. But that I only have one, two, three, four, five. One, two, three, four, five, six. My 90% of my portfolio is six positions. I told you guys I was going to take on a decent sized spell position, and it was five previously, but now I have six that constitute 90% of my portfolio, which is curve at the top with about 55% of the portfolio. Everything else is relatively equal sized. Ren VMs, the three Ren VMs, Ethereum is a third on the list, Cosmos, Spell, Frax, FXS. Food, just for reference, it's not a recipe nor a guide. It's never designed to be as such, but that's where I am with about 90% of the portfolio. Anyway, so that was the yield question. There's no easy 50% APY, but you could do a lot. Things that you cannot do in legacy finance. Andrew, thoughts on Avalanche, Nova X, ETFs? Is this okay? I didn't know about their ETFs, but I've been buying. I bought some of their planets. I got a bunch of resources I got to harvest and build some stuff. So, not it's a little bit of a deployment. I didn't do anything big, but it's a playground. This is experimental territory. So interesting that you mentioned it because there's a sea of opportunity, and it just so happens I played around with the very thing you mentioned. I am the future, VEFXS. Goddamn right. Frax approved on Aave. FXS is deflationary asset. Oh my God. Woof. Andrew, happy Friday. A pleasure. Lise, I'm in crypto because I really want to give myself and my children a real financial education and build up generational passive income sources. How do you see the space in 10 to 15 years? 10, 15 to 20 years. I will not be working in 15 to 20 years. The space is going to change everything. The amount of intellectual the amount of intelligence deployed into the space is extraordinary. You no longer need to deploy your intelligence at a corporate level. You literally, for the super smart, you know, the ones that are different, that have a degree of intelligence superior and are able to execute beyond me than I could execute. Um, they're building their own systems. And because they could build financial structures, financial primitives, and protocols, they're able to capitalize, which means this space is only heading in one direction. Now we're going to go through some turbulent times, so it's nice that they say a 15 to 20-year time horizon, because you could have a serious catastrophic event in legacy finance, which will tank the crypto space. But this is where my capital is. I'm 38, two daughters, family, mortgage, house, car payments, all the same shit. But this is where my capital is. This is where it belongs. And I rest comfortably at night, expecting this to go down to 400 grand, 500 grand. And I'm blessed that I was able to get it up to 1112. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to talk about these things with you folks and help you guys understand the way I think. I'll watch this go down to 400 grand and I'm going to smile the entire way because it's deployed to convex finance. The monetary policy that Curve created is extraordinary. The amount of protocols, 6 or so, that are building a CVX treasury to control the Curve monetary policy emission schedule, that's crazy. That's the building of an entire market. Like how you have like the computer market. It's a select group of companies that are all trying to attack the market. Every protocol that's trying to build the CVX treasury, they're doing it for a reason. They're attacking the market. This is like a conglomerate. Building empires. This is crazy stuff. So this is where my capital belongs. The volatility, I expected. I expect significant volatility. Putting this capital into stocks, not putting this capital into bonds. Let the market contract. Let the bondholders have their day where they say, "We told you so," and bonds go through the roof and they make a killing. We all know where it's heading. Dollar down, everything else up. Asset inflation. That's what's going on for the last 12 years. This is where my capital, I speak for me, and I tell you guys my story. My capital belongs in the crypto space. I have the future. A bit off topic. What display are you using with your Mac Mini? I just got a bunch of Philips 4K displays. Nothing special. But I do have something interesting. So the Mac Mini obviously has a useless graphics card, but I have what's called a Sonic breakaway puck. So it's an eGPU, and that was so I run 4K screens, 3 4K screens off of a Mac Mini, and it's wonderful. Works great. So Mac supports eGPUs very nicely, and so does like Ubuntu machines. So if you grab like a System 76, but if you grab a System 76, you'll have a very powerful internal GPU. Get a fancy card with those bad boys. But I have an eGPU for the Mac Mini. I've had it for a while because I use the eGPU with a MacBook Pro, and it works great. This setup. It's called Sonnet, Sonnet breakaway puck for those who are interested. Alex the Lion, a pleasure. It scrolled fast. Adam, hey Noah, good to hear you as always. You introduced me and others to George Gammon. Oh yeah, I like the way he talks. A lot of folks are critical of him. I think his information um, uh, is incredibly meaningful and useful. Any thoughts pertaining to him and his thoughts on the Great Reset? Everything that he says is astute, logical, and reasonable. I am the anti-hater, though, so bear in mind I appreciate all ideas, and I really like his content. He puts a lot of effort into his content, and he sure as hell talks to the very smart macro thinkers. So I like you know, his his content is a digestion of many ideas, and he presents it through his interpretation. So I very much appreciate his content. And Great Reset, all this stuff is very meaningful. So all of that stuff, everything I watch from a macro perspective, including the deflationists, the ones that expect the bond prices to go through the roof. I want my capital exactly where it is. This is where I sleep comfortably at night, even if it goes down in value, dollar denominated volatility. Yeah. Um, Wasarco, is there a decent FXS calculator to estimate your yield on USDC frax Uni 3 pool? Well, it's just a multiple. So the bottom is 21.97. So if you put 100 grand in there, you're making $21,970 a year. Obviously, the APR is a variable rate. It adjusts according to the amount of liquidity and the amount of incentives that are applied to the particular position. So there's your APR. You're getting this amount per year. If I let my 47 grand sit there for 1 year, I'll have about 60 something thousand dollars. It goes up. That's how you calculate yield. Um, Paul, spell is the spell is the only place to have spell. For me, this stuff doesn't get liquidated. This is a 5-10 year plan for me. Um, Now, bear in mind, I don't use Badger. I use Convex because dollar denominated yield is mutually exclusive, and I could use that as a salary if I needed to, but I work, so I get a salary. So a lot of this is retirement preparations and strategic investment for the future. But if I need to, you claim and you have tax obligations, as appropriate. I would compound my volatile assets or my productive assets and take the dollar denominated yield as salary. So yes, spell definitely goes to S spell and just sits there, and that is a bet on the brain power that goes into creating the Abracadabra protocol. And there is some serious brain power, and it's more than just brain power to make it in the crypto space. It's connections, it's organization, and it's strategy, it's memes, much like Wonderland on Avalanche, and I've come around significantly to Olympus DAO, and there's some serious brain power, momentum, and organization that goes into all of these protocols, especially those protocols. More lobby, if you have a smaller portfolio, does it make sense to have an increased risk profile? That's a subjective consideration. Uh, it's definitely subjective. Does it make sense? Because it's subjective, only you can make that assessment. Look, people can have a small profile and be very conservative and be like, all right, I got 10 grand. I've saved up for a long time. I'm going to put it into GUSD on Aave and get 2.75% of my money. You're destroying a bank account. You're still negative in real rates considering inflation, but that might be a very conservative actor. For me, I would put it in the convex pools, 36 and change percent. It's subjective though. You have to make your own choices, my friend. And, bring it up here, bring it up on the forum. Hit me up on office hours and we can talk about it. I walk you through the options and the choices, but in the end, it's a decision that only you can do because you control your private keys, not your keys, not your crypto, and only you can move your own capital around. You are the manifester of your own destiny. It's no longer a world of brokers. That's done. Custodians, sure, there's going to be people that need custodianship. But this is a world where people truly have control over their own financial destiny. And so, in a world like that, all I could do is talk about the choices and the options. I can't do anything. Can't do anything for anyone. I can just help them with ideas. More lobby. Love Nova X. Got a platinum myself. Looking forward to the project. Resellers aren't happy though. I don't understand these people that buy shit to resell it. I mean, I spent a fortune on NFTs and on Ethereum. I'm not selling them. I'll check back in 5, 10 years. Look at this shit. Look at me. See that? I got a cool NFT collection. These things are awesome. Got a bunch of death punks. I grabbed the Hatter application. I got some hats. I got some clay punks. I got these Beeple punks, which are awesome. This is potentially an interesting game. These are the rare. I bought a bunch of rare stuff, so I got all these super rare Ether Muras. I got this super rare Spookies. It's like super duper rare. It's top of the list. I got a bunch of fast food punks, zombies, hoodie, alien. Bought a bunch of these curve things. This is a very one. This is the third rarest Monster Rehab. I had to buy it. It was the third rarest. Third rarest. What if it becomes something? I mean, this is Vitalik in zombie form. Come on. That's so cool. Polymorphs aren't that hot from a price action perspective, but number 26, number 24, and I got my hands on number 6. So it's the sixth one ever minted. That's pretty cool. This is one of my favorites, these misfits. This is the rarest zombie, the rarest mutant, the rarest ape, the rarest male, and the rarest alien. I can't get my hands on the female, the skeleton. Those boys got them on lockdown, but this is one of my favorite collections. It's relatively popular, but this is the rarest of the entire collection. It's a mutant, and it's like number one on the list. So so I don't know. I like this stuff. I have no interest in selling this stuff. I bought pretty much like 40% of all the apes on People Punks. Anyway, I'm digressing. I like this NFT stuff, but you're not. I didn't buy this stuff to make a profit. I bought it because it was awesome, and I got a bunch of Gods Unchained chain cards because that stuff is just awesome. Anyway, I digress. I digress. What the hell was I talking about? Uh, 33K earning 74%. Nice. Yes, Joe. You know the deal. And give it a couple years, it'll grow nicely. Um, Morning, Cap. Dr. T is in the house. Hey, everyone. This is the doctor. He's in the house. I hope everything is well, my friend. Morning, Cap. Good to see you. I've been on a much needed break and I'm coming back, albeit slowly. Nice to tune in again. Yeah, there's a lot going on. I don't know how much you've been up to speed, but we hit Polygon pretty hard, my friend. But Avalanche and Phantom are getting hot now, so we got a couple of new chains that was just like the Polygon experience. And you heard what I talked about the entirety of the stream. There's a whole lot going on Ethereum. So I'm actually more interested in Ethereum. Folks are hot on the cheap gas fees on Avalanche and Phantom. Polygon's still Polygon, so that's still hot. But Ethereum is my playground. Expensive, but still my playground. I am the future. You might have mentioned already, but what percent of your portfolio is spell? Um, Checking. Can I do percents? How do I switch to percents? Percent. No, that's percent change. Can I hide balances? Balances hide. There we go. Spell is 5.9% of the portfolio. Yeah, 5.9%. That helps. Let's go back to the screen. Fly me high. New project building on Cardano that merge Aave style, money market, and curve style. Caught my interest. Curious to see what kind of TVL will achieve in time. That's all that matters. So I'm never early and I'm never late. And I'm not gonna, like I'm not into Cardano now. You can't do anything. There's no bridges. There's no liquidity. There's no critical mass velocity. There's no AMMs. There's nothing functional. It doesn't do anything. But I very much look forward to see what it does because we have precedents. We know what it takes for a monetary system to get off the ground. It needs the critical mass liquidity and needs the critical mass velocity, which is what we saw in Polygon with Aave and Curve. Aave and Curve create markets. Money markets and forex markets create monetary systems. And we see it with Avalanche and we see it with Phantom as well. And if we see the signs with Cardano, that it's meaningful. As of right now, there's nothing. Nothing exists. You could say there's a lot of development, but as I said, it's much more than intelligence and much more than software to make a dent in the DeFi space. You need momentum, you need social media, you need imagery and graphics and all that shit that everyone knows from the NFT craze. You need really that hard hitting virality. And right now, there's nothing for Cardano that is remotely interesting. Fly me high, monetary policy same as Curve. Yeah, that's cool. There's a lot of protocols that are comparable to Curve. When it comes, it comes. I'm never early, never late. I don't, that's just, I've told you guys that before. I don't care if it starts at 100 grand and I miss out and I get in at 50 mil. I'm never early. It's not the way I do things. I meant as the multiplier yield based on VFXS. Yeah, so I got three, the, averages out to probably a little over 3x on the base APR. Also, did you manage to have a look at Spirit on Phantom? Yeah, I like Spirit. It's the same as Spooky Swap. Pretty sure it's a fork of Spooky Swap with added functionality. But so I deployed to Expo as well as Extro for a while, but then I reminded myself that I like to be concentrated and I don't need to diversify. Excuse me. So Curve's going to Avalanche, and Curve's already on Phantom, so I don't need to diversify. I'm very comfortable being concentrated. Um, Andrew, oh crap, I meant NFTs, not ETFs. Yeah, there's a big difference there, my friend. Yeah, I minted a bunch of planets a few days ago. Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool. Uh, TJ says, "Hey Noah, happy Friday. Question about CVX CRV. I already have a position staked on Convex. How does this new factory pool on Curve compare with just staking CRV on CVX?" So I expect so Convex use their control over Curve supply, the Curve supply, to adjust the monetary policy to target the CRV, CVX, CRV factory pool. So the yield next week is going to go through the roof when it adjusts. Um, the yield is going to go high, but it's going to get diluted, and that's going to drive significant capital into the LP position, which is going to cause significant appreciation on Curve, and this is going to have its flywheel effect on the price of CVX and CRV. So it's moving parts. There's a whole lot of shit that's gonna go down. And if the yield on the CRV, CVX, CRV factory pool goes to 500%. Yeah, kill us. That Death Punk alien is pretty cool. I mean, all of this stuff is awesome. That's so cool. I saw those go up, and I'm like, Alien, Death Punk. I bought them, all three of them. It's like this H.R. Geiger series that one of the artists made, and I snagged them. Clearly, a fair amount of capital I have to play. This thing is awesome. This kid has serious skill. 2J Starry, serious skill. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. I bought it because he's an artist. That was his price, and maybe he's an artist that becomes something someday because he sure as hell has the skill. So, you walk into a store, you buy art. You're not thinking about selling it. I don't understand these folks that are buying this shit to sell it. I bought it because I want it. The appropriate metaphor is Golem from Lord of the Rings. It's mine. It's mine. I bought it because I wanted it. I didn't buy it to sell it. Sure as hell not selling my Anthony Hurd for $4,200. Someone made an offer. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Someone offered zero point 0.6 for an alien. This thing will go for 100 ETH one day. Uh, this NFT collection is probably a quarter mil, give or take. Spike, Noah NFT series. I'm not an artist. I don't know nothing about art, but that'd be cool. I think a couple of NFT folks are are going to use my likeness. Here, what did he say? Where is it? I talked to a bunch of these guys too, Jay, down here. He was very thankful that I bought here crypt crypteriors. Yeah, they're gonna use my likeness, an honorary collection for me, and that's cool. I love artists, and these boys are working with a couple of other folks, and it's all appreciated. It's all in, let them try and capitalize, and this is wonderful. So crypteriors, I like them. So of course I said yes. Let them do them. Let them try. And my face looks good, so I like it. um, let's wrap this up in a couple minutes. But no, a serious question. I don't know how to take losses sometimes, so they turn into bigger losses in a very short time. Do you know the story? What to do? This is why my core tenets I try and talk about the most. Never go all in, never spread too thin. You got to jack up your time horizon to 5, 10 years. Expect your shit to get haircut. Expect a 60% loss. Could you imagine the sentiment? I expect this thing to go to like 400 grand, 1.1 mil, 400 grand, and I'm comfortable with that. And I'm going to sit through it. I'm going to take it like a champ and let the legacy financial system ream the crap out of me, or whatever disturbing metaphor you could think of. Because my capital belongs here. This is where it belongs. And that brings me a great deal of comfort. That makes me happy. that I have that kind of conviction that I know where this will be in 5 to 10 years. And I'm right, unquestionably. So I'm going to watch this thing get hammered, just like you're talking about. So what you do is you see that painful loss, that painful depreciation, and you end up selling it, which is what you're saying. You turn it into a bigger loss because you sell it and then you buy at the top and then you sell it again when it gets dipped. And you got to find the positions that make you happy, that make sense. Jack up the time horizon to 5 to 10 years. Conviction, time horizon. And I would argue concentration rather than diversification. I'm not going to stables. I know a lot of people do that and they look for the capital gains. I'm not selling this 1.1. You know how much tax obligation I would have? Hell no. Hell no. Take the monthly yield though and I'll pay taxes on that. Income. Income tax. I told you guys no interest in capital gains. In 2022, my entire tax return is going to be a top line income tax. I'm going to say, sure, I made like 200 grand in the crypto space. Where? Farming. Income. Income. I report it as income. I think about this shit very differently. You guys know that by now. I am the future. You're very welcome. Truly legit. Hey, Noah, do you think it's wise to deposit money into Curve on Polygon, Curve on Phantom to take advantage of rewards? Sure. Why not? I'm concentrated into the productive asset of Curve, whereas I'm not deployed to LP positions. I tend to avoid LP positions currently, albeit the mint positions becoming quite tempting because it yields spell. But that's your choice, and a lot of people use. That's why Curve is hot on all the alt chains because it facilitates market function, and people are speculating across the board. But I always tell you guys, I want to be the bank. I'm not the speculator. I'm not the guy that's trying to buy low, sell high. I'm the guy that wants to. If you want to swap $1 million of USDC to USDC, I want to be that guy that helps that transaction. And you could give me 0.02%. I want to be the facilitator. I want to be the bank. And it's not the largest capital that I have. I'm not the biggest mega whale. I'm not in 8 figures, 9 figures, or whatever. But that's where I want to be. So, they always say the CEO walks like a CEO before he is a CEO, walk the walk type stuff. And so this is how I'm going to behave. And if it's right for me and it's meant for me, that's where I will end up. Cup of Dog. The only NFT I really want is a Chipto. There's a whole lot of NFTs are cool. I like them, but just don't overspend on NFTs. And for the love of God, don't buy them just to sell them. You can make a fortune on NFTs, but if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If I could sell this thing for a couple hundred ETH, that's wonderful. Given I bought it for 3, I could sell these things for what I'm pretty sure they'll eventually be worth at some point. Then yeah, I'm going to sit on them until I can sell them for the price that they're meant to be sold at. Come on, this thing's going to go for 100 ETH. This thing. Fast Food Punk Ape. That's awesome. Awesome. But I can't justify the price. Don't waste your money on that stuff. Focus on the capital that we always talk about. NFTs, this is just fun and games. It's not really fun and games because one, they're expensive. Two, it's not a game. You can make a fortune with this stuff. But I'm no interest in selling any of my stuff. I'll check back in a couple of years. Imagine buying a painting and putting it on your wall. You're not going to sell it the next day. You're putting it on your wall. Yeah, MIM borrowing against 3 curve. MIM, abracadabra. MIM's a big deal. The whole stablecoin story I started the stream with, big deal. Hilde. Hey, Noah, where do you recommend stake provide Curve? So Curve, if that's your play, if it's a cap gains play, you probably want to hold it in Curve. But I don't know. Everything I talk about is avoiding capital gains. Curve goes in CVXCRV. That's where it goes. Here, Curve. Boop. Have Curve in your wallet. You connect to your wallet, and you put your Curve into Convex. That's where Curve belongs. And if you have put $1,000 in there, and you put like $1,000 a month, $1,000 a month, in a couple of years, you'll have some money. This is savings. This is productive savings. This is a dividend bearing instrument. This is like owning a dividend stock, but it doesn't fuck you because that's what dividend stocks do. They give you shit, and the companies are zombies. Nothing about the securities markets that are interesting at all. It's all boring. I don't want to own a company that has a bunch of warehouses, REITs and stuff that pays me 3-4% a year. It's going to get me nowhere slow. Nowhere slow. There's nothing interesting to allocate capital to such positions. Now, if you have $1 billion, sure, I'm going to buy hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Big O, Realty Income Corporation. I'll get 4% on my money, like $4 million a year. And, that those are safe positions. No, I have no interest in that shit. Anyway, um, yeah, it's a whole gallery. It is, Alex. JJ, last question. Hey, no, I've always been scalp trading NFTs due to the small portfolio. Well, I like these questions. Is it justified? It's a subjective question you're asking yourself. Only you can answer that question. What happens if it doesn't go well? What happens if you lose money? What does it mean? What is it costing you? Do you have anxiety, frustrations, fears, doubts? I don't like those emotions. I like just being comfortable and confident, knowing what I'm doing is respecting my ultimate opinion. And I used to have feelings like that. Last year was filled with anxiety. Am I going to make money or am I going to lose money? And I don't want that anymore. So I know you're feeling those things. So just be considerate and respect yourself, and don't put yourself in under unnecessary pressure. You know, it's arguably justifiable. It's a process. You're buying something and you're selling it for more money than you bought it for. And, if you're able to deal with the emotional consequences of that behavior and everything works out in the end, all the best to you. So have a conversation with yourself and you'll be able to figure out what's best for you. Only you can do it. 48 people in the stream, 30 likes. We can do better. Friday, September 10th at 12:28 p.m. As always, tell everyone to subscribe. After party on Discord. I'll get some office hours up. And if anyone needs me, you find the link on my Twitter profile. I wish you all a wonderful weekend. I will see you all on the flip side. You have a good one now. Peace.